Nigri ni Mwanzo. Go is the beginning. In the name of she, capital S, capital H, capital I, who man, Adam, named son, S-U-N, mother, nature, mother, earth, in the name of the true begotten son, Matthew 1:23, Emmanuel, I-M-A-N-U-L, whose name is go with us, in the name of the true motherland, Nigritia, Nigrtia, which means land of the gods. Ki Swahili, Kunta Kinte, Tower of Babel, man's first tongue. Iman, you peace from above. How you doing? Good to be here. Good to be able to bring forth the book of life. Kiribu Cha Uzima, reading from the New Testament of Emmanuel. Agano Jipya, Ya, Emmanuel. The book of Yom, chapter 6. John, chapter 6. Yom, chapter 6. After these things, Emmanuel went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. Then a great multitude followed him because they saw his signs which he performed on those who were diseased. And Emmanuel went up on a mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was near. Then Emmanuel lifted up his eyes, and seeing a great multitude coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread that these may eat?" But this he said to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. One of the disciples, Andre, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but what are they among so many?" Then Emmanuel said, "Make the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down in number about 5,000. And Emmanuel took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those sitting down, and likewise of the fish as much as they wanted. So when they were filled, he said to his disciples, "Gather up the fragments that remain, so that nothing is lost." Therefore they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves which were left over by those who had eaten. Then those men, when they had seen the sign that Emmanuel did, said, "This is truly the teacher who is to come into the world." Therefore, when Emmanuel perceived that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he departed again to a mountain by himself alone. Now, when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into the boat, and went over the sea towards Capernaum. And it was already dark, and Emmanuel had not come to them. Then the sea arose because a great wind was blowing. So when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Emmanuel walking on the sea and drawing near the boat, and they were afraid. But he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they willingly received him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land where they were going. On the following day, when the people who were standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there except that one which his disciples had entered, and that Emmanuel had not entered the boat with his disciples, but his disciples had gone away alone. However, other boats came from Tiberias near the place where they ate bread after the teacher had given thanks. When the people therefore saw that Emmanuel was not there, nor his disciples, they also got into boats and came to Capernaum seeking Emmanuel. And when they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, "Teacher, when did you come here?" Emmanuel answered them and said, "Most assuredly I say to you, you seek me not because you saw the signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were filled. Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal on him." Then they said to him, "What shall we do that we may work the works of God?" Emmanuel answered and said to them, "This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he sent." Let me say it again. Verse 29, chapter 6. Emmanuel answered and said to them, "This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he sent." Therefore they said to him, "What sign will you perform then, that we may see it and believe you? What work will you do? Our fathers ate the manna in the desert, as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat." Then Emmanuel said to them, "Most assuredly I say to you, Moses did not give you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives you to the world." Then they said to him, "Teacher, give us this bread always." And Emmanuel said to them, "I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you have seen me, and yet do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and the ones who comes to me I will by no means cast out. For I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. This is the will of the Father who sent me, that of all he has given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up at the last day. And this is the will of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the begotten Son and believes in him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. The Jews, they complained against him because he said, "I am the bread which came down from heaven." And they said, "Is not this Emmanuel, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it that how is it then that he says, I have come down from heaven? Emmanuel therefore answered and said to them, do not murmur amongst yourselves. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught by gold. Therefore, everyone who has heard and learned from the Father comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father except he who is from gold. He has seen the Father. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who believes in me has everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which comes down from heaven, that one may eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever, and the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. The Jews therefore quarrel amongst themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? Then Emmanuel said to them, most assuredly I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. For my flesh is food indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me, and I in him. As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so he who feeds on me will live because of me. This is the bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers ate the manna and are dead. He who eats this bread will live forever. These things he said in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. Therefore, many of his disciples, when they heard this, said, this is a hard saying. Who can understand it? When Emmanuel knew in himself that his disciples complained about this, he said to them, does this offend you? What then if you should see the Son of Man ascend where he was before? It is the Spirit who gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The words that I speak to you are spirit, and they are life. But there are some of you who do not believe. For Emmanuel knew from the beginning who they were who did not believe and who would betray him. And he said, therefore I have said to you that no one can come to me unless it has been granted to him by my Father. For that time, excuse me, from that time, many of his disciples went back and walked with him no more. Then Emmanuel said to the 12, do you also want to go away? But Simon Peter answered him, teacher, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. Also, we have come to believe and know that you are the teacher, the begotten Son of the living God. Emmanuel answered them, did I not choose you, the 12? And one of you is a demon. He spoke of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, for it was he who would betray him, being one of the 12. I don't think y'all heard what he said. Let me say this again. Chapter 6, verse 62. What then if you should see the Son of Man ascend where he was before? One more time. Son of Man. When did you not hear him when he said, eat of my flesh and drink of my blood? See, Do not get stuck on stupid. It's a parable. He is sent from God to goals. And one of the first things he told Noah after the floods was, do not drink his blood. So therefore, when Imanuel was talking about eat my flesh and drink my blood, he's talking about understanding the position of where he's at, the position that he's in. Did you not hear at the end that he knows what's going to happen? And you reading Book of Life, Kiribu Child Uzima, and you reading the New Testament of Emmanuel, Agano, Jipya, Imanuel, go with us. You understand that you're not talking about physically eating his flesh. He's not talking about physically drinking his blood. He's about understanding the words, and how mankind was allowed to manipulate them only to a certain degree, because God of gold at the Tower of Babel says so. At the Tower of Babel, he said, no, you can't walk up to me like we equals. But at given the time, I'm going to bring my folks back around. And we coming back around. If you don't believe in me, but believe in he who sent me. One more time. I am Emmanuel. Go with us. Not because I say I am Emmanuel. I am Emmanuel because he said I am Emmanuel. He the one told me when I went to God and I asked God, who am I? He said, read the book as it called itself, Book of Life. One more time. He told me, read the book as it called itself, Book of Life. And then he gave me Emmanuel and told me, Jesus is what I told you from the start. Beware of other people's gods. Jesus is other people's gods. That's why they put Jesus all around Matthew 123, but they could not put it on 123. One more time. Jesus is through that book everywhere, except for Matthew 123, because that is his truth. One more time. Not my truth. That's the truth written in this book. One more time. That's why when they try to talk to me, I had a guy trying to tell me about what it said over here and what it said over there. And I told him, I don't care about what you telling me, because what you telling me does not change Matthew 1:23. And that's why God said, pay attention to the signs. Just like the disciples. Didn't you hear he said some of them left and didn't follow him no more? Yeah. Because they weren't there when he was walking on water. So they didn't want to believe in the things that had happened before. They was there when them loaves of bread and them fish was passed out. But oh, that was just a fluke. One more time. See, it ain't about the rest of the disciples, because those hanging on, those hangers on and all that. The 12 is the most important one, because when you put them with Emmanuel, you got 13. Go to goals, chosen number is 13. That's why he told Yaakov, Jacob, you ain't Jacob no more. You is Israel. You and your 12 sons, 13, are Israel. My chosen people. Blacks, black men. All of them. Blacks, black men. One more time. If you have a desire, you got to look up. One more time. You got to look up. Luke 18:11. Look up. Luke 18:13. He refused to look up because he was ashamed. Oops, excuse me. Luke 18:11. They looked up to heaven to talk to God. Luke 18:13. He bowed his head and refused to look up to heaven because he knew it was wrong. One more time. Excuse me. You better wake up and notice Emmanuel because, one more time, that he is the teacher. He ain't a prophet. He's the teacher. One more time. He ain't no preacher. Preachers are taught by man how to deceive men. Teachers are taught to teach. Let's not forget, he is a natural born teacher. One more time. Just like with the parables. Just like with the parables. The parables is for those who really want to know. See, they want to know. See, if you seek knowledge, he will give it to you. But the first thing you got to do is let knowledge go. Because knowledge telling you, Jesus, you can't say what you see. You can't say Jesus. You look, and the first thing your mind, because I've been there. I was at the point where Jesus, when I look into my mind would click G. Not no more. Why would I click on somebody who is other people's God? I look at Allah, I don't click about what I see. Allah. Allah. One more time. So when I look at Jesus, I click Jesus. Not no G, because I see no G. Emmanuel belongs to me. Emmanuel could belong to you too. All you got to do is look up to heaven and notice God goes. One more time. His son is Adam. Luke 3:38. His begotten son, Emmanuel. Matthew 1:23. One more time. Free your mind and your ass will follow. The kingdom of heaven is within. Excuse me. Free your mind, your ass will follow. The kingdom of heaven is within. This is your direct connect to He, because that's what He brought us to life through the nostrils. One more time. Trip C's. Cool, calm, collected. www. Whole wide world. Nigri ni Mwanzo. Go is the beginning. In the name of she, capital S, capital H, capital I, who man Adam called son, S-U-N, Mother Nature, Mother Earth, in the name of the true begotten Son, Emmanuel, I-M-A-N-U-E-L, whose name is Go with us. Matthew 1:23, in the name of Kunta Kinte, Ki Swahili, Tower Babel, man's first tongue. Amani kutoka you. Peace from above. Enjoy your hump day.